My presentation and essay are on the concept of race. This is based on and inspired by the book Dusk of Dawn, which was written by W.E.B. Du Bois. Some background information before I start. Dusk of Dawn is an autobiography written by W.E.B. Du Bois in which he explores his life from his childhood to the inception of the NAACP. Du Bois explores the concepts of race throughout Chapter 5, The Concept of Race, and Chapter 6, The White World. Du Bois begins Chapter 5 by describing his experience in Harvard and the perspective he received there. He describes that there was a survival of the fittest perspective among many of the students. This related to topics of evolution. Many of the community within that school and students believed that there was a difference in the development and evolution of the whites and what were described as lower races. At first, this is what Du Bois believed, as this is what he was taught. However, as time passed, he could not agree with this theory. He was skeptical about several aspects. One example is they would weigh brains and use that as evidence, but he felt that it depends on which brains were weighed. He also doubted the statistics that were found in 1890, which stated that the African race was dying out in the United States. He realized that the comparisons of people used were always to benefit the race of, as he described, the ones who estimated it. Du Bois realized his education had suppressed his knowledge of African culture. This led to the next section of the chapter, which described his post-World War thoughts. He led off with this powerful quote in which he stated, "I had too often seen science made the slave of caste and race hate." Du Bois' perspective changed as he now refused ideas of subordination and equality. He realized that even within the Black community, there was people of all colors. He was discriminated against, being told he was not a Negro, but a mulatto and a Northerner. He began to analyze the cultural aspects of race. He believed that it may be natural for persons of low status to try to distinguish their ancestry from each other and to show and almost represent in a way where they emerged from. There are people that felt that this was removal of heritage, but he felt that it actually enforces it, as it proves that success is not biological and not related to skin. He then takes the next few pages to deeply explain his family tree. I will not be fully explaining this due to time purposes and trying to stay on topic. But the main point he brings up with his family tree is to explore how he cannot believe that African members of his family tree were morally or physically inferior to the few white members. He describes a specific family member as having superior experience, energy, and skill. He then goes on to state that the white relationship and connections were lost and unknown. But despite this, he was the first of his family to finish high school, and afterwards 2 of his brothers did as well. The next section of this chapter explores ancestry, specifically the relationship between race and ancestry and his African roots. He leads off with this strong poem stating, "Jungle star or jungle track, strong bronzed men or regal black, women from whose loins I sprang when the birds of Eden sang. 3 centuries removed from the scenes his father loved. Spicy groove, cinnamon tree, what is Africa to me?" He questioned what he should answer with, and he felt that the answer he should have said was his motherland, but he questioned why he felt that way. Neither his father or his mother ever saw Africa or really cared for it. He questions what constitutes a tie between himself and native Africans. In other words, he's questioning what they have in common for them to both be considered Black besides their skin color. He ends up coming to the conclusion that since the 15th century, his ancestors have suffered similarly, and due to that, they share social kinship. And that is what I will stick to for this presentation, not to make it too long. Some suggestions I have for anybody who may be struggling. One problem that I had was I felt the text was very dense. He's a very dense writer and deep writer. So it helps to break down the chapter into subsections and explore each topic individually. I then found articles that related to each topic within the chapter, every subsection. And you can find articles that also directly respond to the text. There was articles that were directly reflecting this book, and they can also break down the text and explain in ways that you might not have seen. So yeah, thank you.